eh. Pag pumupunta ako doon, sinasabi nila sa akin, Mr. Chair, yung mga chicken skin tsaka yung pork skin imported. Akala ko local, imported pala. No, because in the sa mga European and US countries, hindi nila kinakain because unhealthy. Tayo naman, paborito natin chicharon, di ba? Whether it's pork or chicken. Eh kung nawala pa yung tariff doon, talagang ano na talaga, no? Pati yung meat papasok na ng zero. So that's something that I want to raise to our chief negotiator because from 35 to zero, that is a drastic reduction, and I think our livestock business owners will face intense competition. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much to my Vice Chair. Yes, basically, just also to touch on what Senor Felipe had said earlier, it's a matter of a balancing act between protecting our producers at the same time keeping the prices low for the consumers. We've done that very well with the SRA recently. The beginning of the Marcos administration, sugar was about 100 pesos per kilo. Now it's how much per kilo refined sugar, Your Honor?
Mr. Chair, on the onset, late 2022, refined sugar was up to the highest of 136 per kilo. And we have maintained 85 to 88 the last 3 years po.
Yes. So it's just finding, and you don't see any rallies of the farmers as well. So the farmers are happy. It's finding that sweet spot where everybody can survive and earn a living. No? And particularly giving priority to Filipino first farmers and manufacturers. So let's continue. We'll again recognize Christian Bael of the semiconductors to give his statements and pronouncements.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. So before I go into our position on the 19% country-specific tariffs, I'd like to answer the question raised by Honorable Senator Win and Senator Imee earlier regarding to the import-export performance of our industry in relation to the US. So we agree with PSA. We are a exporter. For 2024 year to date, US is our top 2 export destination, carrying about 19.16% of the 42.74 billion USD commodity export. So this is around quick computation around 8 million USD, a billion rather USD, while in import side they are our top 4 import origin, carrying about 8.96%, which is about 2 billion USD, 2.45 billion USD. So our net export surplus in favor of the Philippines is around conservatively 6 billion USD. So that's for the import-export performance. Now, to the country-specific tariffs, so our organization, CP, has always been coordinating and in active collaboration with different agencies. In fact, parang lahat ng agencies na nasa harap ko na involved namin, from DTI to OSAPEA. We are in regular communication with Ms. Sullivan and PSA every month for our import-export data. DepDev recently through their TSIS and PIDS. And of course, with BSP, we send our regular inputs to their quarterly survey. So now for the 19% country-specific tariffs, although we mentioned that the 19% country-specific tariffs is generally a real risk towards exporters, but for the semiconductor and electronics industry, we're relatively cushioned compared to our friends in other industries like agriculture, wearable exports, or garments. This is primarily because a lot of our major export lines, such as ICs, integrated circuits, processors, controllers, data processing machines, and certain SDDs or storage devices, already enjoy exemptions and duty-free treatment. As I've mentioned before, due to the WTO, ITA, and the ongoing investigations under the Section 232 of the U.S. Trade Expansion Act of 1962, although we are protected, the reality is quite mixed, Mr. Chair and Honorable Senator. So some of our products are covered, as I mentioned. A large majority, I think Yusek Alan also mentioned this, 99% of the semiconductors are shielded from the tariff, but a large majority of our electronics are still subject to the 19% country-specific tariff. So while the tariff regime shields us for a good portion, any future escalation from the US would definitely devastate our industry. I think Trump, although informal, highlight on the informal planned imposition of a 100% tariff. Worse if it's a 300%. So it would devastate our industries. Thus, we are currently, as I mentioned with Senator Imee earlier in one of the discourses in this inquiry, we're currently on a wait and see how that planned imposition of the imposition of the 100% tariff based on the Section 232. So for the SME sector, the Philippines is moderately exposed and well positioned compared to our ASEAN peers. Our exemption coverage is real, but it's neither permanent nor guaranteed. As I mentioned, if you ask me of a projection, we're still in a wait and see. We don't know. Considering the volatility of how the US pronounced their tariffs, who knows after 90 days, hopefully not, the country-specific tariff increase, therefore our forecast would change. So we don't know yet as of the moment how we would forecast this one. But on a policy standpoint, we have four prescriptions, Mr. Chair. So first is negotiate and lobby for continued tariff exemptions and clarifications with the U.S. authorities to defend the gains that we already have. Recently, we sent a position paper to the DTI Secretary Roque in terms of our 5-point agenda should the imposition of the 100% tariff would commence based on the Section 232. So we sent recommendations mainly playing on the field of the rules of origin. Next is push for domestic reforms. It's important to note that tariff is not our only problem. It's one of the problems, but we should not zero in on those on the tariff in itself. We need reforms in logistics, infrastructure, workforce skills to improve competitiveness. Because again, tariff is not our only problem. Next is, I think this is under echo with Sir Felipe's point, upgrade ourselves in the value chain. Currently, the Philippines is known for the past 5 decades as an assembly, test, and packaging hub. But that in itself, we are positioning ourselves in the back end of the supply chain in the semiconductor and electronics manufacturing. So we need to attract higher value investments, not just assembly, test, and packaging, but also in integrated circuit design, R&D, and front-end manufacturing, such as wafer fabrication. When countries like Vietnam and India are vying to get a wafer fab, that sends a strong message on why they need to move up to the value chain. Unbeknownst to us, we didn't really look at Thailand, but September 2024 they announced their first silicon chip plant, and we didn't really thought of them as a competitor in that field. Next is improving the EODB, or our ease of doing business here in the Philippines, by eliminating Philippine-specific redundant practices. We asked our members in terms of how they view the Philippines. It's not, although a lot of it in terms of fiscal, but fiscal aspects, a lot of those as well as how inconvenient it is to do business in the Philippines. Due to the redundant practices imposed on our industry, specifically like E-track and the commonly chemical ban that affects our industry. So while we have a breathing room now, currently we're not affected severely yet. But then again, who knows after 60 days, after 30 days, who knows what the US would say. So while we still have the breathing room, we suggest that we negotiate and reform and improve ourselves, upgrade ourselves in the global value chain. Just a fun fact, our semiconductor industry's contribution to the global value chain is 6%, while our electronics is roughly 1%, around that much. So there's a lot of at stake here for our industry as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your very good insights on how we can expand. Now we'd like to, of course, welcome to the Senate Don Sergio Luis Ortiz Luis Jr. He is our resident expert when it comes to Philippine exports.
Thank you
you,
very
sir.
much, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair. I'm here mainly for Philippine Chamber of Commerce, although I'm also we are all surprised that why are we being treated this way by the US? You know, from the original 17% tariff in April, we were so happy because only Singapore was a negative trade with the US is 10, and we said and all everybody's high. But come April, August, August 7 in ASEAN, there are only two which were increased. And all the others went down. And that is Bangladesh was increased by 1%. But the highest increase from 17 to 19 was the Philippines, 2%. How do you explain that? And everybody is saying, we're the US allies, as you was saying before. And I would like to mention that we are very grateful with our negotiators, DTI and the Office of Secretary Go, because at least they consult us every time they move. Unlike in the past, we just read what they agreed on, but they keep on. We're just sorry that we cannot give them any advice because we're like they were guessing, basically, because all the changes that was happening. And when the last consultation we had before they left, we basically advised them also, please don't offer anything, especially on agriculture, because we cannot afford. We cannot afford anymore. There's nothing, we are hard pressed for anything to offer. But let me give another perspective why we should probably look at what is happening. You know, the issue of tariff, baka press release lang yun. That is not the main concern. And we are dealing with President Trump, not the traditional or US issue establishment, the past administration, the military, the USA. These are the area which Mr. Trump is trying to revamp. Canceled even the USAID. And we're looking at traditional allies, and look what he was saying. He was saying, well, maybe he should charge Taiwan. He might even charge us for EDCA, for the EDCA sites, no? So what is it that is driving him? And what is the difference in dealing with him and dealing with the old administration? One, if you watch the interviews that he had before the election, he was very clear. He said, I will not use sanctions anymore, even for Russia. It does not work. He just bring together all those against us and put them together. So what will I do? I will use tariff. So he basically used tariff to he weaponized tariff, and that's what he's doing. And what is the other thing that he mentioned? The other two things that he wants. I do not like the BRICS. And the most important thing is we cannot lose the dollar as the main currency, because if we lose it, we lost the one. So this is not the tariff game. Accidental lang tariff. It's the geopolitics game. That is why we're wondering why all we have offered to them doesn't count with him. It doesn't count with him. So we have to find what will work with him. We lost all our leverages, even with him, because it's a foregone conclusion we're not going to join BRICS. That's not the leverage. It's known that we will not join BRICS. It's foregone conclusion also we're not going to leave the dollar. And all the others, they can leverage on that. We cannot leverage anymore on that. So we have to find what is it, with not with the US, past US, and with President Trump. What are the things that matter to him that we can offer that will not cost us? Well, we can keep on reminding him our historical ties, but it doesn't look like it. Look at what he said. We think US owes us because we work with them against China. But he said, oh, we're friends of China.